Hi, how are you? Numeric types and casting in Python. There are three numeric types in Python: integer, float, and complex. Variables of numeric type are created when you assign a value to them. If you assign 1 to x, it represents it is integer. If you assign 2.8 to y, it represents y is float. And if you write in this format 1j, it represents its complex. You can also verify the type of any object in Python with a type function. If we want to show it to you, a equals to 2.1, c equals to 1j, print type b, type c, then we run it. In line 4, print type A is integer in class integer, B is 2.1, it is in class float, and 1j, C is 1j, this is in class complex. Integer is a whole number, whether positive or negative, without decimals, of unlimited length. It is integer, and integer 2. Can and then run it. It is in class integer, all of them. Float or floating point number is a number, positive or negative, containing one or more decimals. 1.10, x equals 1.10, y equals 1.0. One decimal, 2 decimal, it all classified in float type. Floats can also be scientific numbers with an e to indicate the power of 10. 35e3 represents 2. Let me pen. 35 equals e3 equals with 35 times 10 over 3. And so on. It's all floats. Let me show you two, for example, E3, E4, only 5. All of them is in class of floats, as you see. Complex numbers are written with a j as the imaginary part. For example, x equal to 3 plus 5j and negative 5j. If you wanna add 2j and negative 5j, it's complex. All of them are complex. If we write k, it hits with an error. K, invalid syntax. We cannot write k. J represents 2 complex number. Also, we can all complex number is in format let me delete this. Complex numbers x equals to a plus bj in this format. A and b are numbers. This complex. A and b are numbers, positive or negative. Type conversion. We also can convert from one type to another type with these functions: integer, float, and complex. For example, x is integer, y is float, and z is complex. If we convert integer to float, we use float function like this. Float integer, we use integer, and convert from integer to complex, we use complex x. We're going to test. A3 b equals to 4.1, c equals to 2 plus 3j. We are going to change the type of A. New value of A is float. A new value value b is integer b, and your value of c is for example float c. Let's first comment this line and execute 3lj a was integer and we converted to float, and with print type a it is in class float. We convert to integer this b with this, and c is float. But if we change this, we hit with a interpreter error. It says that cannot convert complex to float. It cannot convert complex to float because they are different from each other. Complex numbers cannot be float or integer, but integer or float can be complex. For example, new value of c complex, for example a. Integer and float are convertible to complex because, as we said, format of complex is this: if x equals to 2, and if we convert x to complex, x equal to 2 plus 0 g. This you cannot convert complex number into another number type. Random number. Python doesn't have a random function to make a random number, but Python has a built-in module called random that can be used to make random numbers. Import random. We import module random and then use random dot rand range 1 to 10. It produces a random number between 1 and 10. Includes 1 and 10. Let us try. Import print random rand range of random between 1 and 5. Then hit the round button. 1 again, 1 again, we shrink it to see if it produces 3. Only it produces 1. Chance of are so high. Is it includes 3? Let us see. No. It not includes 3. In this it not includes 5. It produces a random number between 2 and 5. Includes 2 these, but not 5. Exercise: insert the correct syntax to convert x into a floating point number. What we can type in this box, you fill out this integer and wanna convert this to float. Floating point number. Casting: specify a variable type. There may be times when you want to specify a type to a variable. This can be done with casting. Python is an object-oriented language. And as such, it uses class to define data types, including its primitive types. Casting in Python is therefore done with using constructor functions. These for converting to integer, for converting to float, and this for converting to string. This constructs an integer number from an integer literal, a float literal, or a string literal, providing the string represents a whole number. Float constructs a float number from an integer literal, a float literal, or string literal, providing the string represents a float or an integer. SCR constructs a string from a wide variety of data types, including string, integer literals, and float literals. We use in this format. Float of 1 will be 1.0. Float of this will be this, and float of this will be 3.0, and so on. But about strings, SCR is 1 will be S1. It is a string. str2 will be 2 in format of string 2. str 3.0 will be 3.0 in this format. That's not a float or this. It is not integer, it is string now. And this is typecasting in Python.